Those actions cannot be tolerated, and those people must be held accountable.
The FBI arresting the Gravette man seen sitting in the House Speaker's office. What happens now that he's in federal custody? Following that riot on Wednesday, lawmakers moving ahead with plans to remove President Trump. How the White House is responding. And Arkansas and Oklahoma hitting new COVID records today. How many vaccines each state has administered?
Live, local, late breaking. This is 4029 News at 10.
A Gravette man is in jail tonight after this photo identified him inside Nancy Pelosi's office. 60-year-old Richard Barnett is now facing several federal charges. Here's video of him being booked into the Washington County Jail this afternoon. He first turned himself into the Benton County Jail this morning. And here's a live look over the jail where Barnett is tonight in Washington County. He is expected to have an initial court appearance in federal court Tuesday at 3. We're told it will be online. The FBI in Gravette tonight to search Barnett's home. Let's bring in 4029's Jamie Weiss. She's joining us live right now. Jamie, what do we know?
Well, Paige, the FBI were searching Barnett's home for about 3 hours earlier this evening. And while the FBI could not comment on this investigation since it's still active, I did speak with the former U.S. District Attorney, former U.S. Attorney of the Western District of Arkansas about what they could have been searching for.
Hopefully this won't take long, but you know, we are very thorough and meticulous in our searches, and this will be no different.
These vehicles are the FBI pulling up to Richard Barnett's home. While our crews could not get close enough to his home to see what these special agents were searching for, the former U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Arkansas gave us a clue.
The FBI was probably looking for, they want to see computers. Did this person, were they emailing on Facebook, text messaging, people going, hey, I'm going to Pelosi's or I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. that day. But they're looking at things that, number one, would put him at the scene. They're looking at things that show his motive, what his intent was, things of that nature, and, you know, possible other crimes, like if he took something from Pelosi's office.
Special Agent Upchurch says the community Barnett lives in has been targeted since he was identified.
The Gravette community, the people and city employees, as well as Mr. Barnett and his family, have received threats due to this incident. The FBI will not tolerate threats. This is unacceptable. You know, Mr. Barnett is under arrest. He is, the last thing we want is for people to hold the Gravette community responsible for the actions of one man.
The special agent adding, it was a good thing Richard Barnett turned himself into police, which you can see him doing here in this video from the Benton County Sheriff's Office. Special Agent Upchurch says Barnett is not the only person that the FBI are searching for. They're encouraging everyone in the community, especially the people who made it to Washington, D.C. this weekend, to take a close look at some of the pictures and videos that are on their website. That's FBI.gov. They want help identifying all the people who took place in that riot on the Capitol. Reporting live in Gravette, I'm Jamie Weiss, 4029 News.
All right, Jamie. And Governor Asa Hutchinson also said that Barnett's actions do not represent Arkansas. Listen.
I'm from Gravette, where he is from, and it's not a representation of Gravette, and it's certainly not a representation of the Republican Party.
And a statement from the Department of Justice says that at some point Barnett will ultimately be extradited back to Washington, D.C. An additional 12 people from different states have also been charged for their role in the riots. 5 people died. And lawmakers are taking further steps to remove President Trump from office before his term ends in 12 days. Plus, Twitter following the steps of Facebook and Instagram tonight. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more.
Tonight, Twitter permanently suspending President Trump's account, cutting off his ability to post on the site. The social media giant says it did so because of the way his recent tweets were interpreted and to prevent further incitement of violence. This while the nation mourns slain Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who died after sustaining injuries during Wednesday's violent attack on the Capitol by supporters of President Trump. The president has not acknowledged Officer Sicknick's death, but the White House released a statement which says in part, Anytime a member of law enforcement dies in the line of duty, it is a solemn reminder to us all that they run toward danger to maintain peace. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi ordered flags at the U.S. Capitol be flown at half-staff in Sicknick's honor. After the colossal failure by law enforcement to secure the Capitol, the House and Senate Sergeant-at-Arms resigned. Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund says he will also step down. Some of the outrage leading to the resignations is in regard to how law enforcement allowed thousands of perpetrators who broke into the halls of Congress to just walk away rather than arresting them. Efforts are now underway to identify and arrest those who participated in the insurrection. And after whipping up the angry mob and directing them to march on the Capitol, in a new video, President Trump now condemning them.
Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem.
But a growing number of lawmakers are blaming Trump for inciting the attack on an equal branch of the U.S. government. Efforts to immediately remove him from office are gaining steam. Democrats are continuing to work on an impeachment resolution, which they plan to introduce as early as Monday. The latest draft charges Trump with, quote, incitement of insurrection for, quote, willfully inciting violence against the government of the United States. The draft has at least 153 co-sponsors, or nearly 75% of the Democratic caucus so far.
This is urgent. This is emergency of the highest magnitude.
The Pentagon even confirming that they have discussed the security of America's nuclear weapons with Speaker Pelosi. A growing number of Republicans now suggesting they are more open to impeaching Trump. Senator Ben Sasse from Nebraska telling CBS,
I believe the president has disregarded his oath of office.
And the number of Republican lawmakers now calling for President Trump's term to end before Inauguration Day is also growing. GOP Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska is demanding that Trump now resign. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
Of course, we will follow the latest on Capitol Hill on our website, 4029tv.com. You can find more articles and details there. Let's turn to our weather tonight. It is Friday, and our weekend weather is looking pretty dry for us. A little bit chilly, though. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Darby Bybee. Darby, though, overall, pretty nice weekend.
Yeah, pretty nice overall. I mean, look, I like what we're seeing for the most part. Let's go ahead and tell you what, let's take a live look out there right now, and let's make sure we've got our right camera up here and showing exactly what we want to see here. There we are, the Rogers area. And you can see, look, it's a dry night really for all of us in Northwest Arkansas and in the River Valley. You take a look here, south side of Fort Smith, looking dry there as well. It's a cold night. The cloud cover has helped keep temperatures from dropping too quickly. We're mostly in the low to mid 30s across Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, but eventually we'll see that clearing and we'll be waking up to mid to upper 20s tomorrow morning. It'll be a cold start and a chilly day tomorrow, highs upper 30s to mid 40s across the area. Another cold night tomorrow night and another chilly day on Sunday. Then we start to see a system getting closer to our area Sunday night into Monday morning. This one's going to have a big impact on Texas. The Dallas area could get hammered with some winter weather for the first time in years, but could it have an impact on our area? We're going to answer that question coming up.
And today, Arkansas setting new record highs for active cases and hospitalizations. For the first time, the state has had more than 27,000 active cases. 1,342 people are in the hospital with the virus. Another 40 people have died. And our hospitals in Northwest Arkansas also reporting an all-time high for COVID patients. 140 people are in the ICU. And COVID in Oklahoma looks like this tonight. They reported the most cases in a single day. 5,232 positive tests reported today. 31 more Oklahomans have died, and 1,926 Oklahomans are being treated for the virus in our hospitals. 467 are in the ICU. Administering vaccines has been a slow process nationwide. The CDC reports more than 225,000 vaccines have been distributed to Arkansas, but an estimated 40,000 have actually been administered, so about 18%. In Oklahoma, nearly 300,000 vaccines have been distributed, and more than 100,000 have been administered so far, about 34%. This weekend, Oklahoma bars and restaurants will be able to stay open past 11 p.m. This despite Governor Stitt's curfew. A group of businesses now suing over it, and today a judge refused to make a final decision.
They do not have the legal authority to do what they are trying to do. The governor does not have the authority to issue fiats that have the force and effect of law, and the Able Commission does not have the authority to go and enforce those executive orders.
The judge seemed skeptical of why this restriction was only being enforced on places that serve alcohol. It could be next week before a final ruling is reached. And a similar story in Arkansas. The governor is now responding to a lawsuit from more than a dozen bars to dismiss the 11 p.m. curfew. That lawsuit alleges that businesses have lost a significant amount of business. It also alleges that the health department data shows that bars are not a major contributor to the spread of COVID-19. The governor said in part quotes as he responded to the suit, "I share the frustration and concern of the bar owners who don't like the 11 p.m. curfew. I am hopeful the cases will come down to a level that the curfew of 11 p.m. can be lifted." And duck boat tours are coming back to Branson. This after 17 people were killed after a duck boat sank on Table Rock Lake in 2018. This is video from that incident. The victims included 2 people from Arkansas, 9 members from the same family. A devastating tragedy. The company Branson Duck Tours LLC actually says they're now going to be using Hydroterra tour buses that have been proven safe and effective. In a statement, the company said, quote, "Duck tours have been a wonderful experience for tourists and a staple of Branson for decades." Slower than expected vaccine distribution causing concern tonight. What President-elect Joe Biden says he will do once he's in office.
Did Antifa supporters masquerade as Trump supporters in Wednesday's violent insurrection at the Capitol? Get the facts with the National Investigative Unit coming up.
There's a growing claim on conservative websites that the violent riots at the U.S. Capitol yesterday were actually instigated by Antifa, not Trump supporters. Is that true? Let's get the facts tonight with Chief National Investigative Correspondent Mark Albert.
The National Investigative Unit got questions from some of you asking if Wednesday's insurrection could actually be a false flag operation. Perhaps adherents of the Antifa movement, you wondered, posed as Trump supporters. Some lawmakers have taken up that Antifa claim, citing what they've seen online.
Some of the people who breached the Capitol today were not Trump supporters. They were masquerading as Trump supporters and, in fact, were members of the violent terrorist group Antifa.
So let's get the facts. There is no evidence that all of these lawless rioters and insurrectionists, or even a significant number, draped in Trump hats, shirts, and flags, are part of a clever undercover Antifa operation. The D.C. Attorney General, who will prosecute arrests and charges, says it is Trump supporters who are trampling on the District of Columbia and have breached the U.S. Capitol. The media outlet Axios identified the familiar faces from the far right as part of the riots. And President Trump's hand-picked acting Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security issued this blunt statement Thursday morning, condemning, quote, supporters of the president using violence as a means to achieve political ends. This is unacceptable. Secretary Chad Wolf, a Republican, makes no mention of any Antifa activists. Not once.
The FBI declined our request for comment, but it has launched a website for tips, photos, and information about the rioters and insurrectionists Wednesday. That website is fbi.gov/US Capitol. fbi.gov/US Capitol. In Washington, I'm Chief National Investigative Correspondent Mark Albert.
And here in Arkansas, the effort to enact a hate crimes law in Arkansas is now in jeopardy. The Associated Press is reporting that the leader of the state Senate has predicted that the measure will not pass. State lawmakers start their new session on Monday. The AP reports that conservatives are working hard to defeat the bill, which is backed by Governor Hutchinson and major corporations. Only Arkansas, South Carolina, and Wyoming do not have a hate crimes law. The U.S. set a new record this week with more than 4,000 COVID-19 deaths reported in a single day. This month alone, the United States has reported more than 1.5 million new cases of COVID-19, and that means nearly 156 Americans are testing positive every minute. Los Angeles, as I'm sure you've heard, currently being hit the hardest.
We're treading water. Every morning, my first text message is about how many beds we have in the hospital, what capacity we have.
Well, in New York, Governor Cuomo there has expanded the pool of people who can get the vaccine to first responders and those over the age of 75. President-elect Joe Biden wants to speed up delivery of the COVID-19 vaccine. He said that he will most likely release most available doses so that more Americans can get the first shot. This actually reverses the Trump administration policy that holds a supply of vaccines to guarantee those who receive their first dose also get a second.
I'm focused on the virus, the vaccine, and economic growth. What the Congress decides to do is for them to decide.
And both approved vaccines require a second dose within a certain amount of days. The CDC estimates 6.6 million doses have been administered out of the 29 million distributed. That is about 30%. And President Trump says that he will not attend Joe Biden's inauguration later this month. He made this announcement today on Twitter before his account was suspended. If he does not show up, he will be the first president to not attend his successor's inauguration since Andrew Johnson. That was 152 years ago. Vice President Mike Pence has also said that he plans to attend. And Pfizer says its vaccine appears to be effective against the coronavirus variants found in the UK and South Africa. So some good news here. Researchers at the University of Texas studied blood samples taken from people who received the vaccine. Experts say that more research is needed. This study, which has not been peer-reviewed, did not test the vaccine against the full array of mutations, but still encouraging nevertheless. A much weaker than expected jobs report is out tonight. Employers cut 140,000 more jobs last month than they added. The Labor Department is blaming the pandemic, the deepening pandemic, for more businesses being forced to shut down. This was the first month of job losses for the economy since April. You know, the River Valley Regional Food Bank is working to make sure that folks have enough food in 2021. The director says that the group distributed more than 22 million pounds of food last year, and she says that the need for food has actually more than doubled in the 8 counties it services. The food bank expects a similar, if not greater, need this year, and they're asking the community to help.
For every dollar you donate, you provide 10 meals. This year, in 2020 alone, we provided 15 million meals thanks to corporate donations, private donations, and that's a lot of meals into our 8-county service area.
So if you'd like to donate and you want to help, you can help those in need by visiting rvrfoodbank.org. You can also find information on how to volunteer to help. The Broadway production Mean Girls not going to return anymore. The musical's producers say that they would not reopen the show on the New York stage once the pandemic closure was lifted. It's the 4th Broadway closing that was set in motion by the pandemic. But instead, Mean Girls will restart its national tour. The cast would include, or have included, Alma native Chad Burris playing the role of Damien. All right, we want to get back to weather on this Friday night. A little bit cool of a start. It's going to stick around, it sounds like. But what else can we expect, Darby?
Well, we're looking toward Monday, and we're watching what could be a little bit of light snow move into parts of the area. Take a look at the weather headlines here. It's going to be a chilly weekend, but it will be dry. And then we see that system come in Monday morning. The best chances for any light snow Monday morning would be the farther south you go. Now, the weekend, again, looks pretty good. Dry weather, cold at night during the afternoons. We only warm in the upper 30s to around 40 in northwest Arkansas this weekend. Some sunshine tomorrow, but more cloud cover again on Sunday. In the River Valley, kind of the same thing. Cold at night, but not too bad during the afternoon. Just a little bit chilly. A little bit chilly for us. Of course, it's going to be a little colder toward Texas this weekend, where they're going to be getting that wintry mix, and really could be some pretty heavy snow around the Dallas area, and even south of Dallas could be some pretty heavy snow toward Waco, Tyler, Texas, these areas out toward Shreveport, Louisiana, the south really getting hammered with some heavy snow for the first time in years. And yeah, it could get close to our area. I think the Ouachitas have a decent chance there Monday morning for some light snow, and the rest of the River Valley, I wouldn't call it a decent chance, but certainly some potential anyway. Out there tonight in Fayetteville, we've got dry conditions, a little bit of cloud cover over Van Buren, as you can see right there. Temperatures slow to cool off at the moment because we still have cloud cover in the area. Those clouds just refusing to exit northwest Arkansas. I think they will later on tonight. For us in the River Valley, we've had at least some partial clearing. Temperatures chilly. I think for all of us by the morning, we'll be in the mid to upper 20s. So definitely a chilly start to our Saturday morning and a chilly day overall for our Saturday as well, with temperatures generally staying in the 30s and 40s. A dry but cold weekend for us as we go into Monday in northwest Arkansas. It seems pretty unlikely we get any of that light snow. That should stay to our south, and we warm up Wednesday and Thursday back in the 50s. And then we have another cold front coming in Friday. That one doesn't look like it's going to be a very strong cold front, but could cool us off a little bit anyway for the end of the week. In the River Valley, a little bit better chance for seeing a little bit of that light snow Monday morning, especially south of Fort Smith, south and east of Fort Smith, and especially at those higher elevations of the Washita's. I like our chances there. As we go into Wednesday and Thursday, we warm up, near 60 by Thursday before that next kind of weak cold front comes in next Friday. Well, if you stay with us, we'll be right back after the break.
We start tonight with Razorback great Lexi Weeks-Jacobus from Cabot. She's called it a career, made the announcement tonight on Twitter. She won 4 NCAA championships, too many SEC honors to mention on this show. Also made the 2016 Olympic team after finishing 3rd at the Olympic trials. Made us all so proud that not just a Razorback, but an Arkansas-born and bred young lady flying high in Rio for the world to see. She and her husband, Derek, are currently track coaches at the University of Arkansas in Little Rock. The basketball palace of Benton County is what I'm calling it, open for basketball business at Rogers High School. This thing is amazing. Look at this place. Looks like a college gym. Their old place was kind of a cracker box compared to what they have now. Many small college programs would feel lucky and fortunate to play and practice in an arena like this. Tonight they hosted the Fayetteville Boys, Purple Dogs among the top teams in the state. Rogers did not have quite enough tonight to keep up on the scoreboard. The final score, Fayetteville wins it 59-38, but as far as the gym goes, they're equals now.
For us, it was like playing a road game because we had practiced in it, but then to put people in the stands and to actually go up and down the floor against someone else other than your teammates in practice definitely took a little bit to get used to.
Eric Musselman's Hog back in actions tomorrow at Bud Walton Arena against Georgia. Huge game for the Hogs because the deuces are wild, as they say. The Hogs have lost 2 in a row in the SEC. Their next 2 games after Georgia are on the road, so this game kind of sandwiched in between there. Feels like a must-win, but don't expect Coach Musselman to be heaping extra pressure on the guys early on tomorrow.
Team, pregame, or the day before, what are must and what aren't must wins. This is an important game for us because it's a home game, and we do have 2 really challenging games coming up. But Georgia is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated teams.
Yeah, they're definitely good. They lost an overtime game to LSU in their last outing. Speaking of LSU, in Baton Rouge tonight, the Tigers edged Arkansas to win the first SEC gymnastics meet of the year. Hogs won on the bars and the beam in the team competition. LSU won the vault and the floor. Their scores were just a little bit better, and they won by the slimmest of margins. So this one goes to LSU. We're back with more right after this.
North Carolina couple was able to celebrate their wedding and the wedding of their dreams thanks to a few strangers. Take a look. The couple is actually homeless and they were living out of a tent, so they originally planned a very simple wedding. But volunteers from a nonprofit that helps homeless people actually helped create this wedding, and they gave away countless extras to make this day special.
The whole wedding was amazing. It was really beautiful.
The glow on her face. And she was happy. And I was happy.
Oh, that was the groom we just heard from. Now with the fresh outlook and 2020 behind them, they're hopeful for the future and a new beginning. I think we can relate.
Thanks for joining us.